Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, James T. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. First up today, we learned of new delays at Giga Shanghai as Jim Z is reporting Shanghai factory to open as early as April 11th or April 18th the latest based on the new COVID policy target set by the Deputy Prime Minister. And of course, we all have our opinions on the matter. However, just focusing on the data, if Shanghai opens up on April 11th, that would be 2 weeks of shutdown, which would be roughly 30 to 32,000 units. Or if it does take until April 18th, that would of course push that number closer to 48 or 50,000. That's if the chatter is accurate that Giga Shanghai is producing about 16,000 units per week. So when Tesla's doing around 310,000 units for the quarter, of course that pushes us in 10 to 20% territory of lost production already in a few weeks. And for whatever it's worth, there's a lot of talk about infighting within the CCP and Xi Jinping financially looking to choke out some of his rivals. I can't confirm nor deny, but figured I'd pass it along. Certainly not ideal, but not a cause for concern either. A decent number of people today were taking this image out of Giga Berlin to say that they're now producing Model Ys without side mirrors. I would definitely not go that far. Maybe they're folded in, maybe this is one unit, a test vehicle. Who really knows what's going on, but be careful with what you speculate from this image. However, I'd be curious what you guys think. Just 1 month, but in March, the Model Y and the Model 3 were the two best-selling vehicles in all of the UK, not just EVs, but including all EVs and ICE. Some more great news, the biggest drop went to diesel-powered cars, which plummeted 55% compared to the same month last year. Bear in mind, this was the first full month that the Model Y has been offered in the UK. Just a note on this tweet, this customer service phone line for Tesla really has been in existence for a while. It may have been shut down for periods, but I did call just to check and it takes you through a brief automated step, and I did ultimately talk to a representative. Lines are open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tesla now has a Cyber Rodeo FAQ page on its website. Doors open at 4 p.m., remarks begin at sunset, adults only, no ticket transfers, invite only event with some prohibited items. Absolutely no surprises here, but the CEO of Twitter, Parag Agrawal, says, "I'm excited to share we're appointing Elon to our board. Through conversations with Elon in recent weeks, it became clear to us that he would bring great value to our board. He's both a passionate believer and intense critic of the service, which is exactly what we need on Twitter and in the boardroom to make us stronger in the long term. Welcome, Elon." And Elon says, "Looking forward to working with Parag and Twitter board to make significant improvements to Twitter in the coming months." This is an interesting dynamic because you'll recall this tweet that Elon shared not too long ago. To be clear, I think this was just Elon having some lighthearted fun. However, there are more serious implications of the actual photo. It was taken back in 1937 and it showed Joseph Stalin walking next to Nikolai Yezhov, his right-hand man. Stalin reportedly had Yezhov assassinated and then removed him from the photo itself. Stalin was mad at Yezhov, suspecting of him trying to assassinate Stalin. So Elon's meme had Parag as Stalin and Dorsey as Yezhov, which is why I find tweets like this to be pretty comical. On a more serious note though, Elon received a 2-year term on the board, and as long as he remains in that position, he cannot own more than 14.9% of the company's stock. Now with Elon, Twitter will have 12 board members, including Parag and co-founder Jack Dorsey. And adding some gas to the Elon vs. SEC flame, apparently Elon filed that report on his Twitter stake late, and US securities law requires disclosure within 10 days of acquiring 5% of a company, which in Elon's case would have been March 24th. A late report could lead to civil penalties of over $200,000 for Elon. A law professor at Michigan said this is not really a gray area. Elon acquired it and didn't file with it in 10 days. It's a violation, and this is a slam dunk case from the SEC perspective. And a former SEC counsel has said arguably Elon's social media posts about potential alternatives to Twitter can be seen in light of his previously undisclosed stake as a form of market manipulation to affect the share price, but proving that seems difficult. And shifting gears a bit, actually last month, Elon said that he was going to resign from the board of Endeavor Group Holdings, which will be effective June 30th. Endeavor Group is the owner of the UFC and the Miss Universe contest. And a fun fact, the creator of Endeavor Group, Ari Emanuel, has actually worked with Elon in the past. Ari was one of the first reservation holders for the Roadster, and his siblings include Chicago's 55th mayor, Rahm Emanuel, whose administration gave a contract to Elon's Boring Company back in 2018. And Elon already looking for feedback on Twitter improvement, so I'll pose the same question to you. Would you like to see an edit button on Twitter? My answer will be in the pinned comment. The Lucid Air was spotted in Fremont on Tesla's test track. Nothing out of the ordinary though, Tesla just benchmarking the Lucid Air, as all of these automakers do with each other, just to see what other companies are doing and working on and to learn what they can. Totally normal. A thought on this chart, I'm very interested to see how this 2022 line shakes out. I think in the short term, it might flatten off a bit for Q2, given the Shanghai shutdowns. I'm really curious to see though how Tesla's going to handle Shanghai being the export hub now that Berlin comes online. And of course, as Berlin ramps up, Shanghai is still going to be supplying a majority of this capacity. However, toward the end of the year, very curious to see how many cars into Europe are coming from Shanghai versus Berlin and how Tesla handles that dynamic. And with this news, I have to say it really feels like the Hail Mary of Hail Marys for both companies, as neither really has any groundbreaking EV technology, but they're relying on each other to hopefully come up with something together. Here's what you need to understand. These companies won't enter into these complex, convoluted, profit-losing partnerships unless they absolutely have to, and essentially they're desperate. And you guys know I'm not some legacy OEM basher. I'm just saying this doesn't signal confidence in Honda or GM to be able to do their own thing making EVs into the future. However, here are the details. The project will use GM's Ultium battery technology and will include popular compact crossover vehicles beginning in 2027. Mary Barra said GM and Honda will share our best technology, design, and manufacturing strategies to deliver affordable and desirable EVs on a global scale, including our key markets in North America, South America, and China. GM's executive vice president told reporters this morning the vehicles are expected to be priced below $30,000. To be clear, these companies have worked together in the past, as Honda previously invested $750 million into Cruise, GM's majority-owned autonomous vehicle unit. And GM is already set to produce 2 EVs for Honda for the 2024 model year. The companies have also collaborated on battery modules and fuel cell vehicles. Honda is saying that they still have plans to develop their own EV technology after GM makes these 2 EVs for them in the year 2024. The company's justification for this move was splitting development expenses and working together to reduce battery costs. This would allow them to drive down the price while producing electrics at scale globally. And hey, it sounds great in theory, but the reality of the situation is far more nuanced. Historically, these partnerships have a very mixed record of success because combining the already very complex operations across different regions and different corporate cultures is incredibly challenging. And those 2 vehicles that GM is basically building for Honda, the Honda Prologue, and then an SUV for Honda's brand Acura. And to wrap this up, Honda's executive vice president has said they developed battery manufacturing expertise from building gas-electric hybrids. So best of luck to both companies, but color me skeptical at best. Along those same lines, GM has resumed production of the Chevy Bolt, however, still questions as to how long they'll keep this car in production. Why is that? Well, GM said that production of the Bolt EV and EUV will continue during the Orion plant's conversion as they produce the next line of Ultium EVs. However, they declined to share whether it would have a place in GM's vehicle line post-conversion. And Model Y orders are now live for Israel, set to deliver in July. Customers, however, will be paying quite the premium for the Model Y. And a local Tesla employee has said that Model Y orders in Israel will receive deliveries from Giga Berlin. Last up today, we get this video of the Tesla Bulls vs. Bears from Andrew Musa, who, if it's the same person, was the video editor at NFL Network. So it was a pretty cool video. Some of the clips were actually Elon talking about SpaceX, so just bear that in mind, but I'll include a link to the video below. It was a fun watch. That's all for today. Please take a second to like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.